What you into? How are you?
They had a meeting.
You know the. You say yes, ma'am.
You think that's COVID casualty or something else?
They own the land,
So the purchase didn't.
They all own the land.
Their court date is next month.
You all right?
We're good.
Yeah, he went ahead and did his 10 days.
This is Rebecca. She's from.
Have that test, they check your temperature. First thing, over there, have that test over there.
They're sitting on it.
You know where it's at?
Well, what you doing?
How you doing?
I'm all right.
My boy Snap taking good care of
You
you?
know the whole way going.
He talked to you about every day this
They
week.
go through,
I like it.
going out there,
I like it, Jason. You get those.
He's good with you.
Yep.
going like you're going to,
I know, buddy.
go to ice, where the road turns, they go back. It's right there.
Well, utility
Oh,
rates
Crest,
pay for the-
Crest School, yeah, Crest School, I know where it's at. Used to be a school there. I used to walk from Glen Middle School. Now, Crest, we get lunch, they have a cafeteria, we have to go out there. Cost a quarter.
When they get out my side, I know we
We always do elementary school, always do high school.
Well, we paid a quarter or 35 cents, I can't remember
It
what
wasn't 35 cents.
I've lived in Kingsport for the last year.
it
40 was
No, it's 6 so.
Okay, we are
Man, that
fixing to
made
get
you
started
good,
in just
too.
a moment, okay?
They paid you good, didn't they?
Oh, they did,
You know
oh,
what I know.
that girl,
All right.
look.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying I make it. It's always something behind it.
I bought one of them black, it's tight on my ear, it turned my ear. This right here is more comfortable to wear.
I got big ears, but it's blocked.
And it turned, it just about pulls my hearing aid up.
Let's go ahead and get started with the meeting today. Hopefully, we're in some unusual times right now, and so we've got everybody, I think, as socially distanced as we could possibly be. We haven't had a meeting now in about 5 months, but certainly there's been a lot of work going on for the rest of us that haven't meeted. If we could, let's go ahead and call the meeting to order, and let me welcome some folks. We've got Nancy with the chamber here, Wade Littleton representing the Citizens Tribune, Jeff Bobo with the Times News, Allison Goley with Review. We want to welcome a new addition to our meetings, and Nathan Woods. Many of y'all have not met Nathan. He's the Don Hurst replacement for the state ECD. We got Jerry Young on the phone with us today, TCAT representative. And, Jerry, we're glad to have you sitting in with us. Calvin Clifton with Mattern and Craig, Ronnie we'll hear from here in a few minutes from, Networks. Have I left anybody out? That cover everybody? Did everybody's packet, that they picked up had, Otis's, picture from 40 years ago, when he was young and thin and, at his maximum fighting weight right there. I don't know where they came up with that, but that was
I found it on Facebook.
Oh, okay.
Somebody put it on
Good.
Facebook.
Everybody's got a copy of the minutes of the last meeting we had back in February. It seems like a eternity ago. Is any corrections, or do I have a motion that we accept these, as mail?
Second.
Got a motion, got a second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. If you would, bring us up to speed on our financial situation.
Okay. Back on February the 27th, we had a balance of $12,185.56 in checking. We had, December interest of 64 cents. I applied for the TVAED partnership funding, and we got $1,350 from that. We got January, February, and March interest on there. And then we got a RITA reimbursement of $11,952.02. April, May interest, and then, RMC, of course, you guys know that the electricity is still in our name. And so they reimbursed us for $414.44 on that. RITA reimbursement for $560, June interest $12.72, and then the state of Tennessee gave us $500,000, and that was the AGC flat glass grant. So for total in deposits, $514,295.21. Checks, U.S. Bank, we had a couple of checks there at the first. Rogersville Review, $560 for Discover Hawkins ad. Another U.S. Bank check. Hawkins County General Fund, and of course that was paying Hawkins County back for the electricity that RMC reimbursed us back for. I had one voided check, $26.54. IT Decisions, $2,361.65. That is for a grant that I applied for telework equipment, and I have sent that in to TVA for reimbursement, which we will get that back. U.S. Bank, $298.46, another U.S. Bank for $120.73, and then Larry just signed a big $500,000 check for me yesterday, or the day before one, that goes back to ABC Flat Glass for their grant. So that leaves us a total in checking today, $19,906.98. One CD at Civis Bank for $6,230.99.
Any questions? Comments? Do I hear a motion that we accept these for our records? Got a motion, do I have a second? Got a second, all in favor say aye. Any opposed? So moved. Good financial report, there's a lot of money changing hands here. In your packet, I've had Rebecca maybe every other month compute all of the, work that's gone on, all the activities that are going on, and everything, and put it in written form and sent out to you all to try to keep you abreast of what has transpired over the last couple of months. And so you've got the written copies of those, much of that you've already seen, but just to memorialize that in written form, I've got that out for you. business, on the access road. What is it?
Where the Beavers was at.
Oh, okay. You should have said beaver situation or something. We've had a situation down in the floodplains that many of you may not be aware of, but the roads going around the land that is in the floodplain, the beavers had moved in, and we've had beaver issues in the past, but not to this extent. And we were down there back in the late spring, and the water, when we were having all the rain, the water was actually washing the road out and created more wetlands than was needed. And so we were trying to figure out, we dug a trench, we rented a backhoe with the help of Curry and some of his expertise. We decided we'd put a large tile in under the road to help drain that when the water level would get up. We dug a trench, I don't know, Curry, 6-8 foot wide and 6 foot deep, and overnight the beavers dammed it up. When they say work like a beaver, I didn't know how aggressive beavers were, but we couldn't get ahead of them. So after some thought, and with the help of Calvin and Maynard and Craig, we came up with a plan to basically lower the road about 18 inches to 2 feet below the water level at its highest, where it would come out over the road, and extend it for about 100 feet. And so basically you're coming out through here and you slowly go down, and then for 100 feet you're below water level, and then you come back up. So if they dam it up and the water starts coming up with all the heavy rains and everything, it overflows over 100 feet area, which would be a little more than they could tackle with a dam. So we were able to get some engineering drawings with the help of Calvin and Maynard and Craig. Is that me? And so we ended up with the Phipps Bend. We've had one Phipps Bend joint venture meeting, haven't we, through this process. One of them was to approve the money to fix this situation, and so we approved the money to pay for that. It has been completed. We were up there. I know Otis and I drove through it the other day. It looks good. We put small rock where the road's at, and then it goes into the bigger stone to keep from flooding out and everything. And we think this process will work. Terry, you have anything to add to that?
The area that you lowered, you can, as you said, you can ride a vehicle through. They can still ride a horse across it. It can be cleaned out with our tractor and the front end loader that we have on the tractor, if the beavers or if there is sediment that accumulates there. So there weren't a lot of options about doing it, and we got permission to let our part-time employee and the group that deer hunts there, because they're insured, to shoot beavers while we had the road closed, but it'll be opened back up if it's not been already. And I think they ended up killing 20, but there must be over 100 that have taken over in the ponds. It's just unbelievable how many there are. So I don't know if this is gonna attenuate that or you know, what we're gonna do going forward.
And beavers hard to get ahead of. I had them eat my trees down at the house. They're, of course, you know, they're nocturnal. They don't come out in the daytime much. I got me a chair and sat out there with a big light one night, went to sleep in the chair, and they ate the tree down while I was sleeping. My success with beavers has not been good either.
TWRA has recognized that they're a pest, so the season is open year round. As long as you have a hunting license, you're allowed to do it with there's no limit on beavers, but of course, anybody that's down there with the number of folks that we have in the park needs to, take, precaution or be under the insurance umbrella like, the deer hunt people are.
We don't wanna encourage anybody to come down there and shoot beavers. We
No.
want to,
Not unless they're insured and have permission and know who they are.
So hopefully we'll see how this works out and, you know, maybe the areas will dry back up if it got wet. We had an inordinate amount of rain, as you recall, in the spring, and now it's quit, so the problem kinda solved itself, but, I'm sure it'll be back. We've had a couple of expansions, but the state, we're waiting to let them make some announcements on those expansions when this thing is kind of calmed down a little bit. It's amazing that with this COVID-19, how things have really changed the way we operate, and so just stay tuned and we'll let everybody know when the state ECD and Nathan, gives us opportunity. You know, we applied for the site development grant, and Invest Prep both with the state and with TVA. We received and were awarded both of those. And so, we're moving forward with that. Now this, as you recall, is what they call Lot 17. That's to try to have a very large, almost 100-acre site available with all the utilities and everything, all of the problem areas that have been brought to bear as we moved into this process. You recall we were talking about Indian grounds, archaeological studies that had to be done, wetland studies that, you know, as back in the spring when we're having all the rain, it was bringing up areas that if there's a cattail or any kind of species of vegetation that's considered wetland vegetation, they consider that area to be a wetland. And so there's some change going on a federal level involving wetlands and stuff, but anyway, we're still having to go through that process, and so the state ECD and the Tennessee Valley Authority have both approved our grant money for that, and so that is already underway. Calvin, you wanna speak to that at all?
Well, we were really waiting to see about the Invest Prep grant before we really kicked off any kind of activity. So I imagine now that we can get together and have a start up and determine our path forward.
Right.
Excuse me. Larry signed the grant yesterday or the other day, and I sent it in yesterday to them, and so she said it'd be after 1st of August that they would send us an approval, and then we can start on that.
So we'll schedule a startup meeting thereabouts, second week of August, something like that.
Yeah.
So that's a really good thing. That's what we've been asking for. We've got the approval now, and so hopefully we can get that moving. And hopefully when this economy gets straightened out, we'll be ready and poised to start showing that side of things. And so we're real excited about that. We depend so much on the state and TVA both, and both of them have come through in very generous ways. So we thank them. Talking about another one, we had been notified about a community livability grant, and we, along with Nancy, had I guess applied for and received that grant money, or we were awarded the grant,
It
and
wasn't
so.
money, it was,
tell us about it.
Okay. We didn't receive any money for this, it's a community livability initiative, and basically, you get together information and do a presentation to consultants, and usually you go to Nashville to do this, but because of COVID, we had to do this virtually. But Nancy and I did that presentation, and it's kinda, gives you information back to yourself on how to sell the community. So it went really well, we think. It was an hour-long presentation, and so we're just waiting to hear feedback from them, from the consultants, that it went really well, we think, so.
There wasn't any money involved
No
there.
money, but they only approved,
They're kind of putting a marketing plan together,
Yeah.
using what we
okay.
presented to them.
yeah,
Oh,
and they
okay.
only approved so many communities, I think it's what, six?
Six.
Six communities.
Yeah, to do this, so.
Is that in the state or is that in the whole Tennessee Valley?
I think it's just the state.
Yeah, I think it's just the state.
Our two consultants, one was from New York and one was from Colorado. So,
That's still pretty good, speaks very highly, I think, of your all's efforts and the industrial board's efforts to be chosen.
And I think we'll get some really good feedback from it once they get, because they go through, they took what we presented and we had to send them the presentation.
Yeah, I had to send them the actual presentation, and we had to,
Recorded.
record our presentation that we gave and send that to them too. So they go back and kind of make notes and send us feedback, and do just like a marketing plan
Right.
for our community.
Before I forget, I don't know if you all, I'm sure most of you read the Kingsport Times News. They had the awards that were passed out this last Sunday in the paper, and Mr. Bobo was chosen as the top reporter in the Times News poll. Congratulations, but he usually writes bad things about Hawkins County, so we're hoping he'll get a promotion.
50-50.
Well, that's, I think, quite an honor to be chosen, as the top reporter in the whole, because they cover a wide area, Southwest Virginia and East Tennessee, so that's quite an honor, yeah. I have to give Jeff a hard time because he does get more, items published, I believe, than anybody in the area, and so, he really digs in and does a good job for him. We are working with a company that we can't name on purchasing a piece of property at Phipps Bend. Hopefully will come out within the next month or so. We've had quite an ordeal getting the piece of property approved.
There's one item left that we're
One
having.
item out of a multitude that we've gone
As
through.
soon as
so-
that's cleared up, it should be.
Yeah, so hopefully just hang with us on that. On the water tank initiative, and Ronnie, I guess, reminded me of he and I going to Nashville and getting money to build a water tank, and, I remember going down there and, but Ronnie remembered who we met with and basically the year we went down and all the details of it, but basically we got the money to build a 750,000 gallon water tank at Phipps Bend for the Rogersville utility district, and that was built and everything, and now there needs to be maintenance done on that, and we've got some grant money and some loan money, for the Rogersville utility district, and we're working with them, and Calvin's been working with them. And we're in the process of the property that the water tank is on is still in the Phipps Bend Joint Ventures name, and so we're in the process of having that surveyed, getting the title actually transferred over to the Rogersville utility district, and the road leading up to it, the right of way and all of that, and so, been a tremendous amount of work going on with that, and the surveying and all that's been done, and so now it's just a matter of signing all the deeds. And the lawyers are, working with us on that. We have, Joel Hawkins has taken, I'm having one of those.
Warman Waddell.
Foreman Waddell's place as far as being the, attorney that we work with the Phipps Bend joint venture, and Joel has really done a great job with us, and we've been on the phone with him quite a bit here lately over a couple of different issues. So we're in the process of getting all that completed, so the work can then commence to, refurbish the water tank, and we also got money to, put in valves and loops around so we don't have a major water outage inside the Phipps Bend Park. And so, we appreciate the work that Calvin, has been doing with that. Tell us about this rural initiative grant.
Jerry, are you on here?
Yeah.
Do you wanna talk about that, where it's been extended to 2021?
The, funding for I caught part of what Larry said.
Oh, yeah, the funding for the Rural Initiative Grant, it's been
Right,
extended
okay.
to 2021, and I thought you might wanna speak on that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I talked to Kathy Price last week, and I think that money is still available. Right now, some of the industries up there, they're not working, so we're gonna work on a schedule to see, what we possibly can do for them, unemployed or employed, to get them back in. Yeah, I have had conversations with Kathy. Right now, this summer, we've got students in school, but we're having a distance, and I limited our class sizes to about 75%. But, this fall, we'll get in, we'll reschedule, and that money is still sitting out there to use the grant.
Do you know to what part of 2021 it's extended?
No, the original was June.
Okay.
And I think even if we get it till June 2021, if they don't extend it past that, I think we still get training in before June. We were planning on having it done by Christmas.
Right, okay.
But, if we waited and didn't even start till after the first of the year, we should still be able to get it in June. But I think they'll extend that anyway.
Okay.
All right, thank you so much.
This, this was the training that we was offering all the industries that was free. It was OSHA, pneumatics, hydraulics, and forklift.
Pneumatics,
Yeah.
hydraulics, OSHA, forklift.
We had quite a bit of interest,
Yeah, we
from
did.
the industry wanting that, and we were so pleased that we were gonna be able to offer it there at TCAT, but then COVID came along, so, hopefully we can get this.
I can't remember the exact numbers, Larry, but I'm wanting to think in the back of my head, we had about 75 that we were trying to get lined up for training.
Right.
Or we had 75 classes, I think, a couple of them, we had like, somebody was signing up for hydraulics, and then they signed them up for pneumatics, but maybe it was listed as 2 students, but it may have been the same one taking 2 classes, but no, I think we had about 70 something.
Yes, I think that's the number I recall, so, we appreciate it. Moving right along, we wanna welcome Glenn Hutchins for his first official meeting as a board member. He was approved by the county commission back on May 18th, so we're glad to have him. And speaking of board members, we've got a couple of board members that's term is coming up, and one of them, is Susan Armstrong. Her term ends August 31st, and we'd like to see her serve another term if that's the wishes of this body. Gary Darnell, term ended last month, and he really is not doing you know, he's just not been feeling well, and I'm not sure exactly what, his situation is, but he has asked that, he not be reappointed. And then Brent Price, has been appointed the new clerk and master, and we, you know, hate to see him leave the board, but we certainly congratulate him on that appointment and a new position. And I've got his resignation here, and he says, with his appointment as the new Hawkins County Clerk and Master, I submit my resignation from the industrial board. I do not feel it would be proper for me to continue as a board member, serving as a county official. And it has been his honor to serve on the board, and so we certainly, you know, want to, accept his resignation. I think it's even part of our bylaws that we don't have elected officials on the board, so I guess,
We need a motion for Susan to be.
I think that would be the first thing. We need a motion to extend her term. She's been a great board member and very faithful to attend, and so.
I'll make that motion.
We got a motion, we got a second, any questions? All in favor say aye. Any opposed? Susan, we'll submit your name and thank you for serving, and, but on that same note, that leaves 2 positions open. And I would like to ask if you would, give some thought to filling those 2 positions, and we'll take it up at our next board meeting, whenever it is. If you would, if you've got somebody in mind, if as you recall, we would ask that you submit a resume for that particular person and submit it to Rebecca, and Rebecca then in turn will send it out to each of us to peruse at our, you know, and then we'll come back with some recommendations at the next meeting. I would ask that along that same line, if you look around the room and see the gray hair, it would be great if we could get some young people involved with the industrial board. I don't know what the average age is on this board, but, Brent was our youngest member, and I guess wasn't he? And then Robbie maybe, other than that, you know, you're getting into the, retirement age, so, give some thought. I'm sure there's some good quality young, men and women that would like to serve and willing to serve on this board, and, you know, the pay's not real good, but there's certainly a lot of satisfaction in serving the community, so if you would keep that in mind.
Yeah, I was young once.
Yeah. I think you were on the industrial board at that time. That's maybe one of our problems here, but let's see if we can, come up with a couple of, young folks, to recommend to the commission. Links Machine and Tool and Die Company there at Phipps Bend, you know, the owner of that company, passed away, and they tried to sell it on their own to try to keep, you know, it's a good running business there, but they kind of, I don't know, with the economy the way it was and everything, it got to the point where it wasn't working. That building, and I guess the equipment was sold by Fair Auction Company, back on the 24th of June. And so we're working with them to see what we can do with that building. I don't know exactly what's gonna happen. We've got the name of the owner that bought it at the auction, and so we'll be in touch with him and try to see what his plans are for it. My understanding and my knowledge of the individual is that he buys property just simply to It's speculated, it's an investment, and he may have not understood that we have the final say on who buys that property. So when you buy a piece of property in Phipps Bend, there are some stipulations that go along with it, and so,
I did give that information to the auction company, though.
yeah, and they knew that on the front end, and we wanna announce it, so we'll see how that goes. But that building is vacant right now. We had a large, sign up there, at Phipps Bend intersection, and we had a vehicle that ran over that, and so we're in the process of trying to get it replaced. Let's see. We, along the same lines, our security cameras have been down. You know, Rebecca is constantly reviewing that. How many we got up there?
4.
4 cameras.
Well, 4 outside, and we got 2 on the building, so 6 altogether.
6 cameras, and, you know, they're constantly recording, you know, movement and things up there. And we had to get some of those replaced, when we found out they were down, they couldn't be repaired, and so, all that's been done. We did have a virtual meeting, with a possible expanding company. Hopefully we'll, like I said, there's no face-to-face meetings anymore, so hopefully we'll hear from that, particular meeting. I know we set up a meeting for Contour Industry with Houston Electric, TVA, and we assisted in setting up that meeting. And we've had a couple other, prospects, even with the economy the way it is, there's been some, people looking, so hopefully we keep this thing going. Jerry, back on the phone again, you wanted to talk to us about the truck driving school. Could you address that?
Yes, sir. I'll tell you what, you know, this has been a roller coaster. They first wanted to come in, the company I worked with before, and then I've done the contacting, we've done all the legwork, and then the head guy gets down in Atlanta. I said, no, they weren't doing any more schools, they were gonna do their own thing. They called me last week, and I was on the phone with the regional manager yesterday. And he said that they made a mistake, they really would like to work with us, if we would still be willing to work with them. I told him, I said, well, you guys ain't gonna drag me out and shoot us down again. He said, no sir, not at all. He said, that fella's not in the loop anymore. So, we're back on track. I'll probably be looking at sometime in the spring, because obviously COVID has slowed everything down, but we'll have to get our paperwork into the state and, have to get the, site approved. He's coming in sometime in the next couple of weeks for me to meet with, and I'll probably take him up in there and he's going around. They've got some big contracts in Kingsport, and of course, they done part, so we're back on it again, and I'm gonna be more hopeful. I was pretty hopeful the first time, but I'm gonna be more hopeful this time they're gonna continue, and we're gonna be able to get that program rolling up there.
That's good news, good news. That's, certainly a need as you drive around, you see all the signs and the trucks especially on trucks that need drivers. And that was a great, I think, thing to offer to the local people, is where they could get, certified as a, CDL license and all that, and get their truck driving training right there at Phipps Bend. So, Jerry, keep up the good work on that. Yes,
Can you tell us
Yeah,
about
that's
the
a
school?
9-week training program that leads to a $45,000 job starting out. And they hire just about every graduate we have.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm hopeful this time, even though they don't stay the course with you.
Well, that's great. Jeff?
Can you tell us the name of the school, the company that's coming in?
Jeff was, Bobo was asking the question, the name of the school that you're gonna be contracting with,
The company.
the company name.
Oh, it's not a school, and I don't know if I don't know if I want that printed just yet, because I don't want any other trucking company, calling me.
Right.
I don't care to say who it is off the record, but, if that's okay.
Well, he's got his live, so probably not the best
Yeah,
option.
we're
Yeah, we got like
live
8
right
people
now, so-
watching, so it's gonna spread like wildfire.
And that's okay. I think at this time I'd like to keep the name of the company, but they're not a school, they're an actual trucking company.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
And I just will say this, they provide the school, what they do, our relationship with them is we do the training, we are the training provider. They provide the truck, the fuel, and the insurance.
Wow.
They cover the most expensive cost of having a truck driving program, but I just really don't wanna give the name out just yet.
That's fine, that's fine, no problem.
Fair enough.
Is there anything else you'd like to add to the meeting, Jerry?
No, other
Okay.
than just, we've done really well this summer. As I said, we had we didn't enroll new students. We wanted.
Okay, let's, bring us up to speed, Rebecca, on anything that we've not talked about here.
The retail academy that Nancy and I and Glenn was planning to attend in Franklin has now been moved to, guess what? Online, virtual, so that's gonna be fun, but I think we had a virtual meeting about that, but I'm still a little bit confused on what's going on. Nancy, do you?
Well, basically what they're gonna do is, they're gonna put us in teams, and we'll be, taking the class, like you said, virtually.
Something was
We
supposed
have-
to be sent out to us.
Yeah, they're gonna send out the information to, there's a software that they use, and we have to download that software to have it, to be able to take the class, and then, they first thought we might do part of it in person, but now they've decided that it's gonna be all virtual, and, we'll each be assigned a team leader, and, work on, a couple of, what are the projects called, we gotta do, kind of like not a capstone, but something similar to a capstone project, to complete the, class, and, then this is, Retail Academy 101, and then we can take 102 and 103. They'll give us some access to Buxton, which is a great program for, researching, retail.
And we were able to do this through a grant.
Yes, this was actually, because of our 3-star certification, we were allowed, I think there were 7 communities picked for that, and you could have 3 people from each community, and, if we'd had to pay for it, it would've been $10,000 for us. So we're really pleased that we got accepted, and, looking forward to doing that, and, working on retail recruitment, for countywide instead of just, segmented into the different cities. So I think it's gonna be a great move for us. And they will help us with recruiting and give us, information on, people who are looking to relocate, in different areas, so.
That's good. Nathan, do you have any words of wisdom from the state, ECD, to?
That's what I was looking at. I think things are actually surprisingly plugging along. I mean, they're nowhere like they were, but we're still seeing, quite a bit of businesses inquire, and of course we're in touch with Rebecca on that when it pertains to you guys, but it's definitely slowed down, but I don't think it's the horror stories that you hear in the news. I think we're still kind of going along as we can.
It's amazing how the stock market seems to, is always dealing on the future rather than the past, but, it's remarkably held up very well until this week. It's, plunging today, as I noticed this morning, but, hopefully we get back to normal one of these days. If we get a, vaccine approved. Ronnie, what's networks, what's the word for everyone up there? Anything to speak of?
Well, like Nathan said, we're still getting quite a few inquiries, and Michael Parker puts it all on together, because he's always marking the inspector of the year and the property year. And we're working with some existing industries, a couple of expansions, that probably happen later in the year. And Michael worked pretty closely with tobacco on those two, the Cypress and the invest programs for the state. And, Clay, a lot of his time has been on the regional thing. It's still, out there. There's been a lot of Zoom meetings on it, everything, and, I very honestly don't know what the end result will be. We've had meetings with the net rep, the Washington County group, and then you've got, Richard Venable, and Joe Brandy, the two county mayors had their Blue Ribbon task force, and they're looking at some things. And the private sector got consulted, so actually there's three things going on, and how it ends up, I do not know.
I was in, we've had a couple of meetings, in the last week with the, our folks at Kingsport with the Houston Business Development Center group, and then just a group, working to, kind of see where we stand with the VAE project and things, and, but the one thing that I've noticed, I guess, is, in talking about this regional approach, you know, you've got the county mayor, Richard Venable, in Sullivan County, and then the county mayor in Washington County meeting, and I'm just wondering where Hawkins County's gonna fall. You know, we're kind of tied with networks, and hopefully whatever they do, they will include us in that project. And I know the Washington County net
They
rep,
have Carter and Unicoi.
they have Carter and Unicoi County, so whatever this regional approach is gonna be interesting, I think, to say the least.
It's my, I think, fourth one that probably we've been involved with.
Yeah, it's, we go back a long ways with these regional approaches,
Late eighties, and so I don't know whether it'll be a combination, take the best parts of all three, or what it would be.
yeah.
But there's been several Zoom meetings about it, so, I guess something would be resolved sometime, probably, I guess, late summer or fall would be my guess, but I don't know that for certain.
Yeah.
I know Clay spends a lot of his time on it, and so does a lot of other people.
Well, it seems to be, it takes a lot of time to go through that process, and I don't know how many of the private industries are buying into this deal or not, but kind of sitting on the outside is Greene County and Hawkins County and Johnson County up in the upper end, and so we're just kind of all on the periphery, so to speak, of this regional approach. So, and in my experience in trying to develop the Northeast RETA that we developed 25 years ago, it's hard to leave out Southwest Virginia out of that group, because so many people in Gate City, and Weber City, and up in Wise, and they all shop in this area, and they work in this area. You know, many of the jobs that we have at Hips Bend and at the glass plant are Virginia people. So this is a hard area to regionalize because of all of that. So it's interesting.
And I've talked to them and said, guys, we have a very functioning regional marketing effort for many years.
Yeah, we do.
Did
it took a lot of man hours from the local side, and one thing is having Jim run it, because he was such a strong presence himself. And then people like me and us, we were all pretty solid in our community.
Right.
So we could back Jim up, you know. It kinda changed after he left.
It did,
It can be done.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know whether now they're gonna, you know, they talk about the traditional industrial development, then you've got the Johnson City, they're very interested in the outdoor, activities, festivals, and you got the talent, recruitment side of it, you got your basic tourism parts of it, and, I think they decided that existing industry would be better just left each county.
Right.
Because instead of trying to have a regional person there, so I really don't know the end result of it. It's not, like I said, my fourth or fifth trip around.
Yeah. Some of the rest of us the same way. Does anyone else have anything?
I was, contacted just, I guess Tuesday, about, from the AWA folks, American Whitetail Association, that does the managed hunts, and it's time for them to renew their insurance, which we require. So I was gonna ask if there was any reason we shouldn't, grant them to, access to go ahead. I don't know of any issues. Does anyone have anything?
Anybody? They've had very successful managed hunts, and really the deer population is, very managed right now up there. You know, we were down there the other day looking at the roads, and I think I only saw one deer, and in times past, you couldn't drive through there without seeing a herd of, 15 or 20 the time you got out of there. So, they've done a great job of managing it. It's been good for the juveniles that come in there to hunt.
And they do have an open membership, assuming that any new member would abide by the club's rules. But I've just had a few calls or complaints about it since they've done it that I know about.
Yeah.
I think they've been there, 10 years or longer now?
At least 10 years, so.
So I should go ahead and inform them to pay their insurance and.
I think we need a motion.
We'll
and
probably
second.
have a motion to approve that officially, and that way they'll know for sure. Do I have a motion that we extend them one more year?
I'll second.
Okay, we got a motion, got the seconds all around, any discussion? All in favor say aye. Any opposed? So move, let's go ahead and remember that. Anyone else have anything? I want to thank you all. Like I say, I apologize, but under the circumstances, it's not been a good situation to try to get everybody together, but thankful for the gas company, allowing us to have this. Obviously, we're social distance as much as we could possibly be. Appreciate you wearing your mask. This thing is, remarkable. I mean, this, COVID thing will not go away, and in my opinion, won't go away for several months. So,
We schedule another meeting next month.
what do you all think? You wanna try, or you wanna try to do sending out the information? We covered a ton of territory today. I don't know that there's, as you can tell by looking around, it took quite a bit to set this thing up. Trying to have the meal catered in and everything, it's quite a bit.
Maybe you do every other month, look at it quarterly or something.
I think that would be a good idea to look at having it, either quarterly or at least, and if there's something comes up, we'll certainly call everybody and get you.
If we're gonna get,
We got two
new
more,
board members,
we got two more
that
board members we need to get.
August 24th, the county commission meeting, if you wanna get it in.
I could do an email vote.
We can do that, I
When
wanted to.
Glenn went, we had, 3 resumes, 3 or 4, I know there's
I
still
think I had two.
Scott and that, Debbie
Oh,
Shed.
okay, yeah. Yes, but, I think Debbie was an issue because of.
She's on
Been on
school.
school board.
Okay.
She got
Yeah,
her elected
so
official.
she didn't qualify. We'll make a decision, but, and that's where I was going to give it some thought. We need a couple of young, people on here, certainly, look at the young ladies, young men in Hawkins County. I know, there's some people out there that could add to, this group.
We're still looking for a resume like submittal by whoever nominates.
We need a
With,
resume.
business
and-
experience and,
Yeah.
education background,
Right.
that sort of thing, right?
Certainly like to have somebody that brings something to the table, and, try to get that information to Rebecca as early as possible, give it some thought, and then we'll make a decision whether or not to have it, we may do it virtually by phone, whatever, get the word to the county commission before they meet at their August 24th meeting. Anything else, anybody think,
I don't want your folders back. If you don't want them, just trash them.
take your folders with you and, wear your mask out and be safe. Thank you.
Thank you, Jerry.
Otis?
Thank you, Rebecca.
Okay, bye-bye.
It's adjourned, Joe.